During the temporary halt in hostilities, the Israeli military continued strategic operations to address the ongoing hostage situation and counter the activities of a certain group in the underground passages of the Gaza Strip. Recently, there was a request from the mentioned group for an extension of the ceasefire to handle the hostage crisis and reinforce their underground infrastructure. Following intense pressure from the Israeli Defense Forces, ID, on the Gaza Strip, a decision was made to extend the ceasefire by an additional 2 days beyond the initially agreed 4-day period. The group involved, however, engaged in alarming actions against the hostages they held, prompting the IDF to intensify efforts to eliminate this group and its underground network. One of the hostages recently released by the group disclosed that they were compelled to witness previous terrorist attacks. In response to this disturbing revelation, the IDF increased its focus on targeting the tunnel network used by the group in the Gaza Strip for planning and executing attacks. The IDF employed various tactics, including air and ground strikes on the tactical and strategic tunnel lines of the mentioned group. Before executing these critical strikes, the IDF conducted extensive reconnaissance, utilizing a range of technological tools such as acoustic sensors, colored smoke bombs, ground drones, and wire. Guided drones and wire. Guided drones. The aim was to detect and neutralize the tunnels effectively. Collaborating with specialized units, including the Yahalom engineering unit, the IDF employed advanced equipment such as ground sensors, radar, and remote-controlled robots. Additionally, the use of trained police dogs enhanced the operation against underground threats. The IDF made notable progress in dismantling the underground tunnel network, destroying approximately 200 tunnels and associated infrastructure. The IDF's operations focused on critical strategies, including disrupting tunnel ventilation and flooding with seawater. These actions aimed to damage the group's strategic tunnels, which often housed its leadership, despite efforts by some leaders to escape to the southern parts of the Gaza Strip. It is anticipated that the IDF will launch an extensive ground offensive in that region in the near future to address any remaining threats and ensure the comprehensive neutralization of the group's activities. The IDF's persistent pursuit of critical strategies, such as disrupting ventilation and flooding tunnels, has led to significant damage to the so-called strategic tunnels housing the leadership of the mentioned group. As a result of these operations, the IDF has dealt substantial blows to the group's arsenal, with a considerable loss of weapons and military equipment, the destruction of nearly 200 tunnels, entry and exit points, and tunnel shafts belonging to the group in the northern and central areas of Gaza demonstrates the effectiveness of the IDF's efforts. Ongoing surveillance through underground drones and artificial intelligence robots indicates that the IDF continues to monitor and navigate the tunnel networks in these parts of the Gaza Strip. The objective remains to decisively conclude the group's presence within this underground network, often referred to as the Gaza Metro. It has been revealed that key figures within the group, like Yahya Sinwar, have resorted to using underground passageways to escape the IDF's targeting of the tunnels. Reports suggest that some leaders have fled to the southern regions of the Gaza Strip, possibly in an attempt to evade the IDF's operations. However, in anticipation of potential movements and continued threats, the Israeli army is poised to execute an extensive ground offensive in the southern parts of the Gaza Strip. This strategic move aims to ensure the group's complete neutralization and eliminate any remnants of its presence in the region. The IDF's multifaceted approach, combining technological advancements, specialized units, and strategic tactics, underscores the gravity of the situation and the commitment to safeguarding the region from further threats. The coming days are expected to witness intensified efforts by the IDF to address the remaining challenges posed by the group in its pursuit of stability and security. In the northern part of the area adjacent to the Gaza Strip, the Israeli Defense Forces, EDF, are committed to ongoing actions until the release of all individuals held by Hamas and the complete elimination of sources of terror in the region. Recent assessments by the Israeli Defense Minister and Foreign Minister shed light on their perspectives. The Israeli Foreign Minister, Eli Cohen, emphasized that the focus of the Israeli army is on closing tunnels rather than completely clearing them. Cohen suggested a new strategy aiming to neutralize multiple tunnel lines rapidly, with deployment decisions depending on the strategic importance of the target. In the Israeli attack on Hamas tunnels, a team of engineers referred to as diggers acts as first responders to identify tunnel types and support response units. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant also made critical statements, promising the continuation of clashes and attacks on Hamas tunnel networks after a temporary ceasefire. He urged soldiers to utilize rest time for research, anticipating a sequence of Air Force bombs, tank and artillery shells, bulldozer tracks, and infantry fire. On the diplomatic front, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken plans to visit Israel and the West Bank for discussions on humanitarian aid, the release of hostages, and protection from Hamas terrorism. Blinken's visit is expected to contribute to new developments, while ongoing humanitarian aid deliveries aim to assist Gaza residents affected by Hamas activities. Notably, the U.S. and Qatar are actively involved in delivering aid to Gaza, with military planes transporting supplies. Qatar, in particular, has sent significant aid through the Rafah border crossing, showing continued support amid temporary ceasefires mediated by Qatar, Egypt, and the United States. In summary, while humanitarian aid reaches Gaza residents affected by terrorism, the IDF's efforts focus on neutralizing Hamas's vulnerable areas, primarily its tunnel lines, with the expectation that these efforts will eliminate such hiding spots in the coming days. In the evolving dynamics of the conflict, the Israeli Defense Forces' critical efforts are poised to strip Hamas of its last remaining tunnel lines in the Gaza Strip. The intensified focus on closing tunnels rather than complete clearance underscores a strategic shift in the IDF's approach. As the temporary ceasefire holds, the geopolitical stage witnesses key developments. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to Israel and the West Bank signals a diplomatic effort to address humanitarian concerns, the release of hostages, and the protection of residents from Hamas terrorism. Blinken's engagements are anticipated to contribute to potential breakthroughs as international actors strive to broker lasting peace. Simultaneously, the humanitarian aid initiatives, including the deliveries from the U.S. and Qatar, highlight a concerted global response to alleviate the suffering of Gaza residents affected by the repercussions of Hamas's activities. The continued deliveries of medical supplies, food aid, and winter provisions underscore the commitment to providing relief amid the complex geopolitical landscape. This is the end of the video. Thanks, I will see you in the coming news.